Interesting information coming out of a new book that's being released about Biden and his rise to the presidency and the Biden White House. And one of the nuggets from this that is getting revealed before the books actually come out is that Joe Biden, particularly at the beginning of his presidency, was annoyed with Kamala Harris, which is just a really funny kind of dynamic there. So I'll show you guys this. Mediaite has a breakdown from the Politico story that revealed this, but I like the way Mediaite laid it out. President Joe Biden was reportedly frustrated with Vice President Kamala Harris during the first months of their administration, according to an upcoming book. Biden told a friend that Harris was a work in progress, according to an excerpt of The Fight of His Life obtained by Politico. Author Chris Whipple told the outlet he had extensive access to Biden administration officials while writing the book. Biden got wind that second gentleman, Doug Emhoff, complained about the policy assignments Harris received. The Harris camp considered her portfolio a political liability. Quote, Biden was annoyed, the book states. He hadn't asked Harris to do anything he hadn't done as vice president, and she begged him for the voting rights assignment. An unnamed White House advisor also expressed discontent with Harris, stating her inner circle didn't serve her well in the presidential campaign, and they are ill-serving her now. One of Harris's assignments was the porous southern border with Mexico, which ultimately led to one of her tougher moments in the spotlight as vice president. In a June 2021 interview with Lester Holt of NBC News, Harris struggled to answer some of his questions, and then it details that when she's kind of kept repeating sentences. It was a very awkward interaction, but apparently those around Biden at the beginning were annoyed because Harris and the second gentleman were not liking kind of the responsibilities that Harris was getting from the White House, saying this is what you're going to head up. One of them was the southern border, which is a politically tough thing to be in charge of, and then felt like she wasn't getting good advice from those in her inner circle, which I think has to be true, because I've talked about how the beginning of a presidential campaign, that Kamala Harris versus later on, and definitely once she became vice president, is two different Kamala Harrises in the style and energy that I think she brings. And she seems to be a lot more, from a communication perspective, makes a lot more mistakes and stuff like that these days, and doesn't come off as genuine these days. And it's my prediction that it's because she has a set of people around her that are kind of giving her bad advice or too much advice about do this, do that, and she's overthinking. Because definitely there's been a shift, and a lot of people don't find her that likable whenever polls are done, and it's part of why she's not being floated as a good follow-up to Biden if he decided not to run for president in 2024. So I understand why the Biden administration or those around Biden would be upset with their vice president not kind of nailing it off from the beginning. So second interesting part that's coming out of this book that I pulled for you guys, again from Mediaite, President Joe Biden was shocked by the secret letter outgoing President Donald Trump left in the Oval Office for him on the heels of the January 6th attack, according to a new book. And you'll probably know this, and we'll read a little bit more in a second here, but and I must know the last story. Beginning was rough. Apparently, based on this reporting, it kind of smoothed out, and now things are better, and Biden is not annoyed with Kamala Harris anymore. But on this story, there's kind of tradition that the current president will, on their way out, leave a letter in the White House, in the Oval Office, for the incoming president, wishing them the best and whatever it might be. And Trump actually did that, which is shocking because he didn't go to the inauguration. He didn't even really give an actual concession, which is why to this day he'll claim that he's never conceded. He did say eventually that he's accepting that Biden's going to become president, which for a while he wasn't even doing that, but not an actual formal concession. And he did do this tradition, though, of leaving a letter for Joe Biden, and they don't reveal what's in the letter except for that after reading it, Joe Biden said it was very generous. Very, very generous was kind of what he repeated as is detailed there, but we'll end the segment there so it doesn't go too long. Very interesting stuff. I'm going to be fascinated to see what else comes out of this book, because there hasn't been as much kind of behind the scenes reporting, drama stories about the Biden administration anywhere close to the Trump administration that was just a mess all the time. And getting some of those behind the scenes stories is always interesting with these situations. Luke P. Beasley on Twitter. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before any of the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get a full extra show every single Saturday, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley, and there's a link in the description.